Welcome to Project Ozone 3 Kappa mode, and today our objective is plastic, and not this kind of plastic, the other kind of plastic that's entirely incompatible that we have to make for various other things. So let's just look at plastic. There is the molten plastic from here, from Pneumaticraft, and you make that in a mixer, of course, to get certain ones, which of course we need to, well, for lots of things, but mainly for these transistors, among other things. Okay, so to do that, we're going to need a few things. First of all, you're going to need to go and get some wolframite ore, or tungsten ore, something like that. It's basically tungsten or whatever you want to do, and build yourself a crusher from Immersive Engineering. It's mostly steel. There's nothing new here that we haven't done before. I did have a wireless thing here, but a wireless spectre coil, but I don't need it anymore. So I went and then put the wolframite ore, just throw it in the top, and out of the side you get this stuff, manganese. And that's the only way to get manganese I've found. So yeah, that, however, a very small amount of manganese produces quite a large amount of this, the HSLA steel ingot. So if you take some of the manganese, combine it with graphite dust, and then you've got carbon manganese, which then you combine with some iron, you get lots of HSLA steel. Okay, so we can put that in the system. Then you want to build a whole refinery setup. Now, the refinery, there is this block, which is a refinery, and there is also a multi-block structure. I much prefer this one. It's far more compact and requires a lot less construction. It does require you to make steel frames, but you've done that before, and HSLA steel ingots. You need four of these and one of these thermopneumatic processing plants. Again, there's nothing new here that we haven't made before, so it's not really worth covering. And you'll see what I've got here. I've got some stone surrounding this, but if I just knock a block out, you'll see I've got these. I've got four of them. And what I'm really doing here is covering them. It's important to insulate them so that you don't lose heat. I'm just using that liquid translocator. It's not in use. It's just there to insulate it, i.e. there's a block there, but I can still access the block behind it to click on it and see stuff. In particular, LPG. That's the actual stuff we want. Now, you can use just two refineries and you'll get just LPG and something else, if I remember rightly. Probably just diesel and LPG or something like that. But if you put four, you'll get all four liquids out of here. Unlike that liquid translocator, this one is actually in use. Behind here, I've got a singularity tank, which has oil in it. And oil is easily found in the Twilight Forest. You can just go and fill up a tank, and then we can just basically put this in here and drain that into the refinery. There it goes. And that's enough for one batch. I can just bring that back out and refill it later if I want to. So it needs a temperature of 100 degrees C, i.e. the boiling point of water. And sorry for the Americans, we're not using Fahrenheit right now. And that needs a few things. You can use lava and you can use torches to try and heat these blocks, but I've always found Vortex Tubes to be the easiest one. So all I've done here is basically line four of them up with cold towards this direction and hot towards this direction, and they progressively get hotter and hotter, and this end, the south temperature is 100 degrees C, which is exactly what we want. This end, the north temperature is absolute zero, so that's a pretty good vortex tube, to be honest. I'm sure people in real life would love to have something that works like that. Anyway, thermodynamics. So I've got 3 air compressors here. They're going into the usual safety tube module, which keeps things below 4.5 bar. These things, however, can go up to 20 bar if you want them to. I'm just going to leave it like that for the moment, and we'll see about how that goes. We're already getting some LPG, so clearly we can probably improve this a little bit, but for the moment it is actually working, and LPG is the thing we need. Once we get a bucket of that, you can see it's ticking up. We're going to want to then convert it into plastic. So again, liquid plastic. We're going to want this thermopneumatic thing, and it says, okay, so it processes liquids into other liquids. LPG and coal together in this machine can produce liquid plastic. It can also be used in fuel cracking, heavy fuels, la 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 la. Okay, so let's put this down and see if it actually needs an air connection or not. It looks like it does. Max pressure is 5 bar, current pressure is 0, and anything from 0 to 5 is perfectly fine as far as this is concerned. That's good. And we're okay there, I think. So I just need to basically hook this up along with everything else. I think that should work. Yeah, it's got the same pressure. These will build the pressure up, of course, to 4.5, and you'll see this is already ready to work as far as that's concerned. So in here then, we need to feed in LPG. 100 millibuckets is fine, and we get out a bucket. So one bucket of this should get 10 buckets of liquid plastic, which is quite good, along with some coal. And again, required temperature. Do we need to get the temperature? It looks like we do. More vortex tubes or lava? Well, that's the question. We've got wood around here. I'm not a fan of lava there, to be honest. So maybe can we reuse these vortex tubes? Probably not. Probably worthwhile getting some more, or indeed putting something together. Okay, I'll do that off camera. So I did try lava. It does work, and it raises the temperature quite a lot, and then increases the rate at which it's generating stuff quite a lot. However, after a little while, it actually changes that lava to obsidian. So it's not like an infinite source or anything, but it's just sort of a boost that you can use to actually basically get the whole process going a whole lot faster. So I've done the same thing here, and you can see here warnings. It's poorly insulated because I've got 2 blocks missing from the back or something, but that's perfectly fine. In fact, I can probably put one of those or 2 of those back. Yeah, that should be it. One is exposed to the air, which is this front block, so I can put this this whole liquid translocator back, and that should be everything. So green, no problems. Good. Heat and everything else, that's fine, and that's ticking up quite nicely. So now you can see here we got that temperature is falling as it pulls it from the lava, and the lava is now out. So yes, you're going to need more than one lava block there if you're going to use lava to boost this whole thing. So yeah, up to you entirely. So with over a bucket in supply, I should just be able to put this in here. Whoop, let me just grab that again. I just need to make sure I have some cobblestone so I don't set fire to my platform. Then I grab LPG from the top. There we go. LPG, and then we put it in there, and then we just get some coal from our system. Coal. Let's just grab a stack. Okay, and off it goes. It's starting to convert the coal, or the LPG, over to liquid plastic, which is exactly what we need to basically grab our plastic mixer. You still on the main platform? I think I left it there. Where is my main platform these days? Yeah, it is there. And yeah, just like the others, this converted everything into obsidian. So yes, you only get temporary benefit from doing this. I think I'm actually just going to move this across to the same place as everything else, so that this main platform's clean, and we have a nice area for Pneumaticraft. So there we go, and let's just fill in that gap. Okay, so Pneumaticraft it is, and we'll put the plastic mixer over here somewhere. Doesn't much matter where. I'm just going to replace this floor actually, and then we'll just be able to have one place that's we can use lava if we need to without too much worry of setting fire to everything. So where's my mixer? There it is. Okay, then it can go, and we've got all 10 buckets of plastic, and we can just ladle that from one machine to the other. Yep, that's everything. And then we've got liquid plastic. So liquid plastic we can then make into various different things. In particular, the black plastic we're looking for. There we go, we've got everything we need. And yeah, so we're ready to go. What selection, if we just choose black plastic, it'll make one of whatever actually we want. And this, again, is used in the pressure chamber to combine with everything else to make the transistors. So we actually want quite a bit of black plastic. In fact, let's just lock the selection and it'll just convert them all over. And that's all of the plastic converted just for 10 transistors. So yeah, at least we've got it going. And the system is mostly automated now with the usual kind of fluid ducts, just feeding stuff in, and I have a vortex tube up here that's actually feeding stuff properly. And down here we have the same vortex tube doing all the work down here. It's not high enough temperature really, but I can fix that later with some other amends, and we should be good to go. So this is actually going to produce liquid plastic, and of course we can then just convert that over into black plastic, and away we go. That means we can then just convert everything over into the transistors. So we have the 4 ingredients here: black plastic, compressed iron, transistors, red alloy ingots, and we put all of them in. Hopefully it should feed all of them in. Yep, it's feeding the next set in. It probably needs to have glowstone on there, I think. Do them a stack at a time, glowstone. There we go. and it's going to feed them all in for the last time. Probably want more of these chamber interfaces at some point, but this is fine. And you'll see, oh, it's pulling them all back out again, isn't it? Yeah, because I don't have this filtered yet. Yeah, I need to make sure it's filtered. One moment. Unfortunately, I don't have anything here to really set the filter. You can change the filter mode to different things, but for example, item name begins with no help because the ingredient and the output are both called the same thing. So that's no good. So what I've just done is just change the redstone behavior to be high signal. It shouldn't operate all the time. And then hopefully then everything will be sorted. So let's just feed these in and let's see whether, hopefully it shouldn't try and feed everything back out again. So there is our redstone. Okay, and then we should get the rest popping in. It's already sent the next thing in. Yeah, as long as it's not pulling anything out here. Yeah, fine. Okay, so now we just need to wait for it to feed everything in, and then we should get everything we need, i.e. transistors. And there we go, transistors are inside, so we can just change the redstone behavior back and change that to always on or low signal, and we'll get these out. You can then set the item filter up here, so it'll only pull those out. Bear in mind though, because one of the ingredients is compressed iron, and that means if you set item filter for compressed iron to make more, you will end up pulling out the ingredients before everything finishes. So yeah, choose wisely as far as that's concerned. Set up your filters accordingly. For example, now I can just set the filter there, and then that's the only thing it will actually pull out. So that's great. And we've got transistors as heard in the background by the quest noise, which means we can have one more ingredient we need for the printed circuit boards, which are the two things you needed for, well, among other things, the Emmy Controller. They need two of them. Yep, so printed circuit board. So we also need the other type of capacitors. And that needs cyan plastic, compressed and red alloy. Straightforward. Then it needs two other things that we haven't actually done yet. One is microchip tier 2, which needs the open computer and diamond chips. Diamond chips are cutting wire and diamond, and they are just sticks and iron. That all looks very, very straightforward. No need to put that on camera. The melodic capacitors, however, one, we need a slice and splice, which I haven't made yet, and having good shears and axes are good. However, that needs a bunch of other things. One is crystalline capacitors, which are made in Power recipe, okay, and they use the energized one or the octadic one, both do the same thing, and also melodic alloy. So melodic alloy is I don't want to use the smeltery much anymore. So yeah, so we're going to need the pop chorus fruit, some N steel and thorium. N steel I can make again in the alloy smelter, or the ingot form was no good. Alloy smelter, so N stone, dark steel, and obsidian, and you work your way back through. So there's going to be quite a lot of me using the alloy smelter, but I've got an enhanced alloy smelter, so that's kind of good. And because that's got an octadic in it, it actually is fairly fast at actually processing stuff. Yeah, you can see there on the left-hand side, octadic. So this should be pretty quick at doing that. So more off-camera crafting of various metals, and then we need to basically make some of these capacitors. And to get the Emmy Controller, I'm only going to want 4 of them, I think. Emmy Controller, well, let's just see how many we need. So Emmy Controller, we want 2 printed circuit boards. We need 6 of them, and 6 of these capacitors. And then this thing was going to require us to make the Pneumaticraft PCB construction thing. That needs a bit of space to actually lay it out, so we'll come back onto that in a minute. Empty PCB is just a smelting from a failed PCB, but we actually just want the regular recipe, which here we are. So we need green plastic as well as cyan, and reception coils and conductance coils, and all of those are relatively straightforward stuff. It's only really the plastic that's going to limit you. Now I've pretty much got all the plastic I need, subject to waiting for this thing and refilling the oil from time to time. So that's all good. So lots of crafting in the background, and I'll see you in, well, for you instantly, but for me in well, about an hour or so, I suppose. When making your PCBs, these things, uses, you can throw them into Etching Acid to change them into the unassembled PCBs, which then get used for the crafting into the printed circuit boards. But before you do that, you're going to want to put them in a UV light box to progress them. Otherwise, they'll just turn into failed PCBs if you throw them into this Etching Acid. An Etching Acid you can already make, so Etching Acid is up here. And you can make it in a pressure chamber with straightforward stuff, including green plastic. So that's fine. However, Yes, using these, you're going to want to instead use the UV light box, and that has a bit of a bottleneck, the PCB Blueprint, and the only way you can get that is via the Amadron Tablet. You know, Amadron Prime, Amadron Now, you know, Amadron Video, those things are ringing a bell. Anyway, you need to make the Amadron Tablet for that. So the Amadron Tablet then has a GPS tool, which is easy, which I've made, but then this air canister is less so. It in particular needs thermoconducting alloy, which is, well, okay, you're going to need the rest of the nuclear craft machines. Melter makes it more convenient, but you could technically use this melter, I suppose, but melter is useful. The centrifuge is not used in this stage, but it may well be used in the future, so I have it anyway. Chemical reactor is definitely used, and then ingot former is also used. So we want boron arsenide. So working backwards for that, boron arsenide, you need to get that to a molten state, and that comes out of the chemical reactor when you mix any kind of boron. There's the isotopes, but also the main one, so any kind of boron, and molten arsenic. And the arsenic we got previously when we're crushing rocks, andesite specifically. So you can get more of that if you want to. So you basically throw boron into the melter, and then when that's done, you throw arsenic into the melter. Both of them go up, out. Unfortunately, these machines do not auto output. Otherwise, I would just have that there and just have them go in a nice, neat little line all the way along. I wish they did auto output. They're weird machines. You can't even use buckets on them to pull stuff out and then put it into the next machine either. So yeah, I have to have these. And then once it's done in the chemical reactor, you pull it out, push it into the ingot former, and that makes us the boron arsenide. And that in combination with the extreme alloy basically makes what we actually need here. Combining both of those to get to thermoconducting alloy. And I think everything else is pretty much done. So we want the air canister, and I would like one, please. Yes. It has 0 bars, so we need to charge it. So I built a charging station upstairs. This is going to be used for the pneumatic helmet later as well, but I think you can just charge it in here. And yeah, it's not very quick, that charging, and also of course it's going to be pulling from this system as far as charging is concerned. So I may need to put more coal back in here and get that going. So let's just make sure that's happening in the background. So coal, and let's just dump them in here. There we go. This thing has got 1.7 bar. We can always recharge it once we get into the tablet stage itself as well, because that also has a pressure stage, it looks like. And then you need to basically craft just the rest of the bits. So I'm just going to grab a U for a second, and then we'll craft it all. So one Amadron Tablet, craft one, and there it is. It's got pressure 2.6 bar. Can we just drop you in here? We should be able to. Yes, and it's charging. Fine. Now you do need to actually specify a container here, so you're going to want a chest. Okay, was one will do fine, and you can also specify a fluid tank as well. So is it shift right click, right clicking in inventory or tank? Yep, shift right click. So that's where that is going to be dealt with. And now we can basically tell this what we actually want to order, and it will bring us a nice Amadron drone delivery. Emeralds. I want emeralds. That's what's going to be needed for this. And there we go. So we can then choose to buy this. I would like one of those, please. Let's just see. Search order. Yes, I want one of those. How do I actually order in this thing? I can never remember. Ah, there it is. So right click should actually order one, which is weird. The left click isn't actually used. And then you can double and do stuff like that. And all this also leads into the more complicated PCB assembly mechanisms. And you can also exchange stuff for emeralds. Not that we need to do that, but there's other exchanges in here possible. Laser wrench from Actual Editions. Other bits and pieces. Nothing that I really want other than this PCB blueprint for now. So I'm just going to press place order. Okay. And then you should see in a little while a drone pop in and come and take some of our emeralds. And yep, we should, once it's taken the payment, He doesn't even trust you. It should bring back the, or give it to us, the PCB Blueprint. Here it comes. Come on, come with the blueprint. And you can even see it's got the model below it, which is kind of cool. So there's a PCB Blueprint, which means we can now hopefully just be able to make the UV exposure chamber or whatever it is. We need some, we need a little bit more. Just some redstone lamps, please. 3 of those. And that's it, I think. Yes, 1. Well, I hate it when the JEI gets in the way. Does anyone know if you can actually restrict this to like 4 columns instead of 8 or 9? It would be really annoying that this actually happens. But yeah, let's try that again. 1, and there we go. So there's our UV light box. It needs pressure, maximum pressure of 5 bars. So you can put it with everything else. Once I remember where I put everything else. Yep, they can come right over here. And we can put it just there, I guess. Would be nice if that was... can I rotate it with it? Yeah, I can. Good. So then we can just throw these in it. And that should start progressing this once it has enough pressure. Right now it does not, which means everything is empty of coal. So I will sort that out in the background. But just to give you an idea of how to get everything done. Once it's finished in there, you just throw them in here and they'll turn into the PCBs that you make in your chamber. So about an hour's crafting later of various bits and pieces all over the place, we're now ready to look at this, which is our, well, basically, let me just reorganize my inventory. There we go. This stuff down here is going to be the first transistors that we're going to make. We're still missing one thing for them, but that's easy enough because it's already been crafting, which is here, some melodic capacitors. So I think they are the final ingredients. Let's look there. Yes, they are. These 5 things. Anywhere from 1 to 5 bar should be fine. And this will get us the transistors, the blue kind. Oh, sorry, capacitors. My mistake. However, we're going to need more than this. Now, just to give you an idea of how much resources it takes to get this. To get those melodic capacitors down, to get, 6 of them, okay, it took a stack and a half of the regular capacitors. So these ones. Okay, so stack and a half of those reduced down to the octadic, and from octadic they reduce even further, and we're going to need even more than this. Even though we got 6, that may well do for some of the Emmy Controller, but to the rest of the Emmy Controller, not so much. So we're just going to dump all of those in, and because I have a filter here, it will not let anything out there until it's all finished. And do we have enough pressure? We do. We're perfectly fine. Good. Okay, so that's going to then transform once it gets everything through. And just looking at the Emmy Controller again, Emmy Controller. Then it needs to be transformed into printed circuit boards. So 3 of them, plus 3 of the transistors, and the unassembled PCB. And we should be ready to go. Now, let me just go and show you the unassembled PCB automation. So here I have the UV light box with 10 of the speed upgrades in it now. And that, I've set the redstone behavior to success chance equals 100%, then it emits a redstone. That then triggers a reinforced servo, which pulls only the right thing out, but you don't even need that anymore because it only turns on when this thing tells it to. This then goes into a dropper, which drops it straight down, which is the etching fluids in a block space just underneath. And normally I would have this redstone clock on there. It's just a little bit noisy, so I've taken it off for now. And then in here I have an item filter that I have the unassembled PCB. This item does not despawn, i.e. the thing that once it's finished etching in that pool. And that then goes back into here. I'll only pick up the right things, which is where we get 7 unassembled PCBs. And that will work perfectly well and automatically. So you'll see up here, you can already see inside the chamber, and they have already converted across. So if I take off the item filter for a second, it will pull out those capacitors, and I'll re-establish this once it's finished, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and then we can put that back. Okay, so we've got 6 of those. Good. We may even get a quest, hopefully, but maybe not. And we're going to need to basically make a batch of 2 of those, and then unassembled PCB maybe, and then these. Yep, so I need 2 printed circuit boards, and you'll see I have a paltry 3 of the transistors left, but these 2 printed circuit boards are exactly what does the quest. are exactly what we need for the Emmy Controller. So the Emmy Controller now is, let's just put those away for a second. There we go, yeah, printed circuit boards. So Emmy Controller. And if we just ask the system to make one, it won't be able to, but we'll just do this. You'll see now we've got 5 of the 9 ingredients. We need an engineering processor, we need a dense energy cell, and then these reinforced alloys. Now, reinforced alloys are not normally too hard to make. If you go through mechanism and you make yourself a metallurgy confuser, which is the first thing to make, and go over here, you'll see, oh, that's okay. You just make them enriched alloy, you upgrade them with some diamond dust. It's easy. Except to make one enriched alloy, it takes one of these capacitors. And each one of those takes all of these, and you get the idea, you get the problem. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go and do a lot more crafting to actually get those done. But you get the idea, I only need 2 of these, so I only need 2 more of those capacitors to get things running for those. And then that leaves the last ingredient, which is the engineering processor and the dense energy cell to finish up. That leaves us exactly 2 items to go for our Emmy Controller, the dense energy cell and the engineering processor. This isn't too bad. It's just existing stuff that we've already made before. As long as you've got enough iridium, that is, iridium plates. You need to basically find those if you haven't already. But of course you can get it from sifting, so there's good, from netherrack. However, going back a second, once we've made that, we need a calculation processor to make the dense version, and we also need an engineering process. So they're both the same kind of process, and you can of course think of doing them with the Inscriber, and the Inscriber itself isn't hard to make, but the presses are, well, difficult. I tried looking at it with using a meteorite compass. None of the dimensions I have access to has any kind of meteors, so we can't get it that way, which leaves 2 other options. One is through Britannia, and I don't like it, mainly because of the stuff I need to actually get, and I'm running late on this episode. In particular, intermediate essence and tier 3 crafting seeds. Don't really like that option. The alternate option seems to be going via, in fact, hang on, the calculation press. In fact, no, you just skip this. If we just go for the calculation processor. Yeah, so calculation processor, printed calculation circuit. The multi-compressor from the Modular Machinery apparently can actually just immediately convert straight to them without the presses, which is good. So we just need pure surface quartz, which is straightforward, and to be able to make this thing. Now, this requires modularium. We haven't made it so far, but I think it's exactly 80 modularium, and I've already started. As you can see, you need like vibrant alloy, electrotine, and vivid alloy. So I'm just going to put those into the alloy smelter here. Oh, well, yes, the enhanced alloy smelter. But you can see it's converting them over, and we're going to continue doing that. We should get 80 of this stuff and making all the components, and hopefully everything will go together. Okay, built up the modular machinery, and we have a new machine wherever I left it. It's over here. It turns red as soon as you make it. It's a very good thing, kind of mod is modular machinery, in that you can just shift click here and then it'll show you a basically a preview in the world. You can right click to fix that, but I don't need it right now. So yeah, forget how you get rid of it. Anyway, I actually want to just put some wireless power in here, and that will do for now. Do you have any power from this? Yeah, looks like you do have power through that, so that's good. And we should be good to go now. So all I really need to do is feed in stuff and then get stuff out, and we should be ready for processors. Or not. Well, because this thing needed its energy input upgraded. It needs to be able to take in enough to basically process stuff. So if I throw this in, it starts doing it, but then stops. That's okay for right now, but if I want to go any further, I'm going to have to make more modularium and get it all the way up to reinforced tier. So if I have a look at reinforced, it accepts 2000 Fe per tick. This particular recipe needs 5000 Fe per tick, so 3 of those is 6000. That's enough for it to work continuously. This only accepts 512 Fe per tick, but it's enough for it to just stop and start, which is all I actually needed to get things going, I think. And what did I actually want to do? Just grab, I wanted to grab, yes, over here. Need some pure Certus. That's already grown, so that's straightforward. Yep, pure crystal quest. And let's see if it'll actually start on any of these. So give it those. It'll go. It works for about 5 and then stops. But that's perfectly fine. We get those that we actually want. And we're also going to need the silicon, silicon, what is it called? Printed silicon? Yes. And it's just regular silicon that you put through the same thing. So let's just grab that. And finally, some redstone. So let's just grab the redstone and some silicon. Okay, and then that should get us all of the things we need. So let's just grab view. Silicon, should grab 5 maybe. Yep, it's grabbed, well, 3. That's probably actually enough. But let me just throw a few more in once it decides it can actually work out a little bit more. Okay, and then we just head over to our proper inscriber. We can't bypass that. So we've got an inscriber here. As usual with these things, when you start off, we don't have the advanced inscriber yet, which will take stacks. So this thing will not take stacks. So we just want to do that, and that should start working. Yeah, and that will make us one of the engineering circuits, engineering processors, I should say. And then we want one of these, which will make one of the calculation processors. Good, and I think that's everything. Let's give it a go and let's see where we get to. So we want one of these dense energy cells. So I'd like one of those, please. Yep, we have a dense energy cell. And then for the Emmy Controller, yeah, I also want the engineering processor, but I've already got that in my inventory. I can craft an Emmy Controller. It's been a long road. What are we on? Episode 15 or 16, something like that now? Yes, I've recorded a whole bunch at once. So yes, the Emmy Controller, obviously very, very useful. We're going to have to do more stuff to actually get it to work, however. So there is more crafting involved yet before we can take over. However, some of the things, not the Emmy chest, Emmy drive is what we're actually going to be looking for. So let's add these to favorites. So Emmy drive, and then there is the fixture version, which you can put on the side of cable, which is often a little bit nicer, but there's less spaces in it. And because it's expensive, I won't generally go for that to start off with. I also want to have 4K drives. 4K storage cells. Yeah, at least those to start off with. And that doesn't get us any kind of auto crafting, but it should get us to the basics of what we need. So let's take a look at what these need. Wow. Okay, so engineering processors, we can do them. Advanced control circuits, those are going to require more of our wonderful enriched alloy, which are expensive. They come from capacitors. So we need 4 capacitors for each one of each ME drive. So that's going to be quite a bit expensive. And then some of these transistors get converted over as well. So that's some of those. Everything else is straightforward. Z logic controller is straightforward. We've made all the rest before, so the ME drive isn't too bad, apart from needing 4 of those 4 of those capacitors, which are painful to make. They won't be painful once we automate everything, but they are painful at the moment. 4K ME storage cells then, how about these? Because we want 10 of these for every drive or something, so oh no. I should have known. They were just going to do this to me, aren't they? No, okay, fine. So each 4K drive is each 4K storage cell is going to take up with one of these capacitors, and then this is all fine. So it's really just these capacitors at the moment. All those bottom row, they're perfectly fine and easy to make. These microchips aren't too hard to make either from these transistors that we've already made a bunch of. It's mainly these melodic, and of those, it's mainly the crystalline capacitors, which is always an empowerer recipe. So yeah, 1 stack of capacitors will get you. In fact, do I have any other of those capacitors left? I don't think I do. Let's take a look over here. Here it is. So yes, these are the ones. I don't think I have any left, but I don't think you only get maybe 4 out of a stack. So. Wow, and each one of you need 2 of them to make one of the capacitors, I might add. So yeah, so 2 of those capacitors out of every stack of capacitors that you start with. So that's a lot of crafting reduction, but that'll mean like 1 4K drive for every stack. So we want 10 stacks of those starting capacitors to get a full ME drive, and that's just 1 drive. So yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do some crafting between the episodes, I think. I don't think I'm going to do anything on camera there. It just takes far too long. But I hope you enjoyed the episode. We are now finally at Applied Energistics, and that will make things much easier when actually crafting stuff in future once we get the drives or once we get them filled up. Of course, you don't need too much more to get going. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up down below, subscribe, and click on the bell if you want notifications. Otherwise, we'll see you next episode for some more Project Ozone 3 Kappa mode. As always, guys, thanks for watching.